All right, so here we are in a vocal project. I'm just gonna clean this up real quick. And the way you want to do your vocals is you want to have your 2-track here, and then you would record your vocals in. Now there's a lot of stuff going on here. I don't want you guys to get scared, but these MIDI tracks are just routing to a auto tune that I have. It's just something I do once in a while. And then these are going to be my tracks. This is, ignore this vocoder thing. This is obviously a vocoder situation. The main track. Now this particular vocal may not be like a lot of songs you might be recording if it's like a bunch of singing. This is almost like recording a one-shot sample type of vocal recording. So in electronic music, you'll have your one shot right before the drop section. In this case, the tagline or whatever it's called, 7-Up. Or it's like a phrase, Reese's Pieces, 7-Up, mess with me, I'll mess you up, something like that. And so I treated it just like I would a one shot. So here is our main take. And then here's just a few little scattered versions of that. Same thing here. This we probably don't need. Sorry, just trying to clean this up for you guys. And there's just a few of them here and there, okay? These are all just copies of what essentially is this one section right here. That's all I really recorded. This is just duplicated versions of that. So, let's get into it. Before we get into it, let's listen to the vocal with just the 2-track, and then we'll listen to how it sounds in the
You can't touch brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't touch brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
Let's go down and let's turn off this real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of A and B the raw recording versus the process.
You can't touch brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace.
Okay, so that was the recorded version. I'm just going to turn off the main stuff here real quick.
You can't touch brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with.
Okay, so I recorded this with that podcast microphone, the SMB, I believe it's called. The one I'm using right now. It's actually called the SM7B. So I recorded this with the Sony SM7B. This is just like a podcast microphone. The intention of this vocal recording wasn't like worrying about it being incredibly professional. Like normally when I go to record a vocal, I actually go to a studio. If I'm going to record a song that's going to be like sung by a singer, you know, like she has to do duplicates and like harmonies and stuff like that. It's not something I prefer to do while I'm running the computer at the same time. Also, I have a few people that I work with in that regard that have really good vocal chains that they've built up over the years. And I prefer to use their studios just because like the sound coming out of it is perfect. For this song, it wasn't as crucial for the vocal to be the most immaculate vocal of all time. So I'm going to just take you through kind of what makes the vocals sound good in this case, because I'm sure you're probably wondering. Okay. So this is our main track, right? And I want to make sure I have everything else that's important off. This is just a soothe, doesn't matter. Okay. So this is our main track, right? I'm going to click in here. You can see most of this is off. So the only thing that we actually have going on here is this altar boy. Actually, we don't even have it going on here. So I just wanted to kind of show you this. There's actually nothing really happening in this section with this chain. This is for the this build-up section, let's listen to that real quick.
I got something you can't touch, something you can't touch. I got something you can't touch, something you can't touch.
So you kind of get that. This is supposed to be a skewed section of the vocal. It's for the bridge. It's not really the focus point. It's more of a vibe thing, and it's just to help the build. So that's why it's got a bunch of distortion, cool sounding, tones to it. But in the main section here, which is the part we're really going to be covering, this is not crucial to the sound. Even this thing, it's not on during this section. The mix is all the way down. But this right here, this is my main rack. Okay, now I'm going to A and B this for you.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
Now, I'm going to turn off this rack right here. This is my rack for my effects. This has got 2 different reverbs on it. One's a long, one is a short. And then it has a little tiny sprinkle of delay in there. It's like a small amount of delay because it's very short. That's why I call it small. I just wanted it to sound a little bit more interesting and bigger in the final result. So let me turn this off and let's listen to it.
Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch.
So this is a very small jump, in my opinion, from the original recorded vocal. It's just tighter sounding and a more interesting sounding vocal than the dry take. If you can get your vocals to sound perfect right from the microphone, cool. That's actually why I go to those other studios, because when it comes out of there, it sounds pretty much done. You don't have to do much to it. But that's just not the setup I have from home, and it's just not something that this song needed. So that's why I did it from home. I didn't even know it was going to be... Cut that part out. So one thing to me that's kind of the crucial element of this sound is this Rift plugin. I'm going to turn this on and off.
Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
So for me, I think grit, distortion, saturation is what helps make a vocal sound good. And I'm going to turn up the dry wet here so you can hear. And again, I don't love this plugin. It's a little bit of a ruckus in my opinion, but it has a cool sonic sound to it. So let me just turn it up for you.
Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
So this to me is like when you're doing film and, you notice noise in the picture. Little pieces of moving noise in the picture. It's what helps make it look authentic and like, I don't know, just less clean. Because if something is too clean, it doesn't look that good. Like if you're doing 3D art, the next time you look at not even 3D art, regular art, or even when you're driving down the street, you'll notice there's a fog layer all the way to the far, far distance in the mountains. And it's kind of whitish. Something that we do in 3D is add a fog layer so that your 3D objects don't just look like a 3D object placed in space. Everything has a little degree of density to it, like in your life, in the world. Like in every movie you've probably seen, you're seeing fog and mist that they create, and they accentuate that because it makes it look more interesting than just like a dry, plain, I'm going to just use a garage for this example. This is the same thing to me. It sounds fine without it, but it gives it a little bit more of an interesting texture when you add distortion to the vocals. You can do this with many different plugins. You can use Overdrive, Decapitator. There's so many different plugins you can use. So I felt like this was the biggest aspect of the vocals that made it sound the way it does. The rest of this stuff is kind of straightforward, minus things like this is kind of like a doubler. We'll get into that. And it's peppered in very lightly with heavy parallel compression on the vocal. That's what makes it thicker. But let's just check out these two different spiffs. You can see that I'm cutting on both of them. I'm making sure that those low mids and low end don't become too prominent, because we got a big bass in there, we got big drums in there. We don't want the vocal and those things clashing. So I'm going to just group these real quick for you, and we're going to A and B it. And I would say for you guys, this isn't like necessarily like a rack that I throw on everything. This is just how I got to the end result with this particular vocal.
Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't.
So to me, this is just squashing the dynamic range in the instrument. Her low end, because her voice has a lot of bass to it naturally, the low end, I don't want that to become too prominent, and I'm just kind of leveling out the playing field of that vocal using Spiff. It's a great thing to play around with. These are, again, just settings that I'm using, right? These are just presets, probably in the vocal section somewhere around here, right here. Here it is, right? And then I'm just using the cut, or I'm sorry, the depth to decide the amount of cutting I want to do. Something you might want to try out on a vocal. These are off. These are, again, more distortion and processing for other parts of the song. Then we have our main compressor. I'm just using Ableton's compressor. Let's hear how this is sounding.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang.
It's just squeezing it, man. Not too much. Like I've said before, like I'm doing very light things. I'm doing light things that accumulate an end result. That's the point. Here, I'm bringing back some of the top end. Why would I do that? Why would I cut here, but then bring it back? We're going to find out in a second, but I'm willing to guess that I'm taming those transients that are a little bit too aggressive, that are just popping out, but I don't want to lose the bite of the vocal.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's.
This is just a taste thing for me. This could have been on or off. I didn't have to keep this. And again, we're cutting like the low end. Oftentimes, I like to leave a little bit of the low end, like around 80 hertz in a vocal, like in this case 75, only because I feel like we're pushing down the vocal here, like we're pushing down the volume here, that's like the cut, but I don't always like to just cut it out completely, because that's not how real life is. Now we're using just a small amount of multi-band compression here. Let's just take a listen to see what this is doing.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
So small again. This could have been an OTT in my opinion. I'm going to group all these real quick, just so that we can hear what this little group is doing.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do.
So that's a pretty big difference. So what we're really getting out of all of that is a lot is coming from the tone, is coming from the riff. The rest of it is just leveling it out properly. Another thing about this vocal recording, she wasn't really singing directly into this microphone, so I feel like you can see like the dynamic ranges here are a little bit all over the place. They're not that consistent because she had a little bit of trouble singing this part because it's not something she wrote. It's actually from a David Spade movie. The little girl sings the thing. We just thought it was fitting for the song. We needed a vocal. We said, hey, can you sing this? It's not something she naturally sings. So it wasn't that comfortable for her. She just came over and threw down. Anyways, instead of just using a vocal writer, which you can do, but it doesn't really solve the problem all the time, we use compression and EQ in this section. So these are like chopped up versions of the many takes we did. This is like a composited version of the best parts of her take. That's another thing too. This right here is important. This is, again, like our parallel distortion. I think we did it on the bass or something. I can't remember where we did it. But this is our parallel compression on the vocal. Let's check this out.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
I mean, that's pretty clear. That's giving the balls to the song. What is going on here? We're just doing an extremely heavy compression, quick release, late attack, because I don't want to grab the transient necessarily. I mean, you could do it any way you want. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not really bringing up the makeup gain. Let's just hear just the compression, and it has this micro shift, which is giving it like a chorusy effect.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
So why are we doing this? This is just to give more balls to the vocal. Just thickening her up. That's what we're doing. So you could just keep on adding more compression plugins and stuff like that, but like sometimes that's just not the solution. And you don't want to necessarily duplicate your vocal on top of each other because then you're going to have phase issues. This is actually helping us because we're using a hardcore compression. We're compressing it all the way. So that's already helping us get into a place where it's in phase. And then more importantly is this chorus effect being all the way up is helping us make the vocal sound different than the original clean chain, which is right here. Something you might want to try in your vocals to thicken it up. And then to top everything off, we are doing our regular compression, okay? Quick attack, why? Because she's saying quick words. She's singing it's almost like a rap. So we want to get it right at the beginning and we want to release it really quick. This is just trying to squash the sound a little bit more. Let's hear what this sounds like.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't.
You can see that right there. It's just leveling out the vocal. That's all we're trying to do. Is like I was saying earlier, it's all about a balance. You got to balance your vocal. Let's hear this whole rack turned off.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. You can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do.
I mean, to me, that really helped level out her vocal, strengthen her vocal, make it more ballsy, and it gave her like attitude and tone. So this is a good, especially for the style of vocal we're doing right now, which is basically a vocal sample type thing, and it works. So if you're doing vocal samples, you know, try something along these lines to kind of get what it is you're looking for in the vocal. I'm not saying you need to copy these settings. Don't think you need to do that. But just know like what it is, the commonalities, you know, cutting here, boosting where we lost, making sure to have a level sounding vocal where the highs and the lows are like hitting the same dB. Like we don't want anything to be too much louder on one end of the spectrum than the other. And then we have just a little soothe here. This is just helping us with just like transients that might be slipping or frequencies that might be louder than others. It's just leveling things out.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch.
Okay, now here is a saturator. That's our dry chain, actually. It's just saturation. A 1 dB bump on the drive, that's it. Just giving it a little bit more on the dry channel. I'm using spaced out. I like spaced out for things like this because it's a little bit odd. The dry wet is all the way up at the max, and it even has a little bit of delay on it. It's just a weird reverb. Let's hear these one by one. I'll put them all on, and then we'll check them out one by one.
Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's.
Okay, so this is super quiet in the mix because I know it's going to come up louder in the master. And all I'm trying to do is fill out the space a little bit more so that she just sounds a little bit bigger in the final go on everything. That's the only reason for this. There's multiple ways that you can do reverb. You can do 60,000. If you divide 60,000 by your BPM, then you can figure out the quarter notes, the eighth notes, stuff like that. And then you can have your reverb stop at certain points. Like if you wanted it to be, I don't know, an eighth note or a quarter note, you can have the reverb end at a certain point in a mathematical equation. All you got to do is divide 60,000 by your BPM, and that will tell you those values. I didn't do that for this because it's just not, for this song, it just wasn't necessary. Was not that important. Now I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm going to turn this one on. This is going to be our shorter reverb. I'm using the Echo Verb.
Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy.
So easily you can tell that this new reverb is the forefront of the sound of the reverb. Let's see what's going on here. Probably cutting the lows. Yeah, no surprise there. Yep, cutting the highs. Just leaving that 1K. Remember that 1K area where we left in the drums for things like this? This is so that the vocal really becomes, audible. Another thing that we did I did on the final production is, and this is across all the instruments, is I put on a soothe like this, pop on our soothe, I go to the actual vocal itself, so I would go to this like 9, go to my sidechain, I'd go to 9, and then I'd go in here and I would turn on my sidechain. This is on every single instrument to the vocals, and in some sections like this section here musically where instruments might clash, I sidechain them to each other. So whatever I want to be the forefront of the sound, that's gonna make everything else sidechain. So how does that sound?
Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace Punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy.
So that's obviously an extreme version of that, but you get the idea. Like, it finds the frequencies where the vocal is sitting in, and it cuts them in the instrument you're looking to cut them in, and you can like tame those instruments or those frequencies and those instruments to your liking, which is what I did for this song. Moving on. Okay, so we're back here, and this reverb, the reason for this reverb is I wanted there to be a reverb, but I didn't want it to be super wet because she's speaking quickly, fast. I wanted it to feel more dry and in your face. So having this reverb with a really short decay helps. Let's see what happens if we play with this a little bit.
Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7 Up. Mess Mess with me, I'll mess you up.
So obviously I could have drenched it in reverb and made it sound more floaty, I guess. Wet. I don't know. I didn't think that was the call for this song, and I think that the final result turned out to sound really good. So think about your section and what it actually needs. Does she need a big old wet vocal that covers everything? Probably not if there's a bunch of drums going on and a bunch of different synths going on, because it's all going to just bleed over each other. Maybe you need a tight, compact reverb like this one. And we got a little tiny bit of delay here, and our EQ is just making sure it's not bleeding into the low end. We're doing kind of what we're doing with the reverb in the delay, where it's a 30-second note delay. Let's hear that.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with...
Yeah, we're just doing a doubling effect, essentially. That's like what we're doing. So instead of having her duplicate the vocal, I'm kind of emulating that with this, and instead of having it on top of each other, it's delayed by a 30-second note to make it sound more interesting. It just makes and extends her vocal by a 30-second note, which makes it sound a little bit more interesting.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up.
So if I take it off, it just makes her sound a little bit more boring, natural, and like just straight out of the microphone recording. This is really gassing up the vocal loudness right here. So we're basically kind of mastering the vocal right here.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall. Boy, you think you got it all.
Okay, you're probably wondering why the heck isn't it getting louder if we're boosting it by 8 dB here. That's because I have this setting on here, which basically turns it down equivalently to how loud you had it prior to putting on this effect. And what we're doing is we're actually mastering the vocal. This is something that you can do, and we'll talk about when we're getting into the mastering stage, which is kind of like the final mixing stage. I can't honestly tell you why I came to this conclusion, but I like the result. So we're gonna get into this style in the next chapter for the mastering, but for right now, just know that's why it wasn't getting louder when I turned it on. Let's do a quick A and B on this, and then we're gonna move on to the next group.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't...
Small but great. That's what we're doing. Small but great things. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but there's no clipping. Even if I turn this off.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train.
We're not clipping out of our chain. We're not doing too much. We don't want the vocals to be distorted. Moving on to this. Let's do an A and B real quick.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch.
So we're doing more limiting here. We're limiting it even further. Same kind of settings. Still gassing it up. We'll see what this is actually doing for the final result. This auto pan here is just a small part that happens later on. But the important things are this one and this one. In every single vocal, you're going to hear a ring. You're going to hear frequencies that just don't sound nice. And your job is to make little notches like these and comb them across, finding the frequencies that hurt your ears. So I was just trying to do some light investigating to see what's going on with this thing, and it looks like it turns on here towards the end of the song. Looks like right here for some reason. It doesn't matter. This is stuff that pertains to my track, but things you will have to do is watch your low mids and high mids for your vocals to be too muddy in those areas. That's what these things are doing. Let's hear what this EQ is doing.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me.
Okay, so you can obviously hear it thins it out a little bit. But there's a reason for that, because there's a bunch of instruments that are happening on top of it. And when I don't have that on, then they start conflicting. There's too much pressure in these areas. So yeah, okay, when I take it off, it almost sounds just a little tiny bit better because we're opening up the low end. We're opening up this low mid, and like it sounds a little bit more full, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a little warmer. But yeah, by itself, when it's in conjunction with everything else, it doesn't sound better. As a matter of fact, these moves made it so my mixing was easier in the long run. At the end of the day, I probably had to sit there and be like, what is causing that distortion-y or over too many frequencies compiled on top of each other? Where's the problem? And eventually I figured out, like, I have to do a little give and take here. Where do I want the vocal to shine? And in the high end is where I wanted it to shine, because we have these instruments here. If you listen, it's like a bass. It's like two different types of basses. Just listen.
Something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up.
So I cut those frequencies in the vocals because they needed to be cut if I wanted to have that like smooth bass and 808. There's an 808 and a bass in here to work together. All three of them work together without conflicting. It's like one over the other. You have to pick and choose. And again, we want to set this to linear. Another mistake. Got to make sure to set it to linear phase. As a matter of fact, you should probably go into your thing right now and see if you can set this as your default with linear phase on. Just do it. I need to do it as well. All right, let's check out the spiff. It looks like we're just bringing back some of the punch that we had originally taken out. I don't know. Let's see if it's even needed.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train.
When I'm working on something, and you're probably doing the same thing, you just keep on working it until it feels right. So if it's not feeling right, then it's not ready yet. So sometimes you add more plugins. Sometimes you do things at the end of the chain just to give it that extra, it needs this one thing. And that's okay. You can do that because that's the magic it needs for the song to work. So don't be afraid. Like I said before, like, I would say less plugins is better if you can. But if you're using them properly, who cares? What's the difference? Because the guy who's listening to your song or the girl who's listening to your song in their car, they don't go, I think you used too many plugins on that one instrument. Nah. They just put it on and go party. That's all you need to worry about, is setting the vibe. Let's check out this Pro L. See what the Pro L's got to say.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang.
So, as simply put as I can, I think in the last stages of everything, I just felt like it needed to be a little bit stronger, and I didn't want to just make it louder. So I'm squashing all those elements even harder. That's what's happening. Let's hear again with and without this.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me.
I mean, I stand by what I did. I think it was the right call. Let's jump back here real quick because you're probably wondering what's the deal with these right here. Okay, so this is like, I'm gonna turn on the auto tune.
Brick wall, waterfall, boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'm
gonna just turn these on. Let's see what these guys were. So this, I think, was me getting cracked out with it.
Choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me, I'll mess you up. Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Brick wall.
I implemented some of those later on because I still think they're cool. You can see them here.
Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up and I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me and I'll mess you up.
Let's hear it with.
Peace punch, Captain Crunch. I got something you can't touch. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up and I do my thing. No Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me and I'll mess you up.
I think that sounds sick. End of story. So it's all about fun. This song is about having fun, not being too serious, just having a good time. That's the whole point of this song. It's obviously meant for partying, so we just wanted more melody and more party in it, and it would have been harder for her to sing those. It probably would have sounded stupid, and this was a great solution. So all we're doing is we're using Waves Tune, routing that MIDI into the tune and just changing those notes. And how do we set this up? It's a particular way in case you're interested in doing something like this. The key is bringing down the speed, bringing down the note transition. Everything else you leave the same. You can play, a lot of times I use generic, but in this one I use tenor. That's it. Nothing more. Just keeping it real easy breezy. Last but not least, for this vocal, we have a soothe. That's it. Boom. I don't even need to show you this. This is just more protecting of the high end. I don't want to waste your time. You get it. But let's dive into a few more things before we go. This right here, this section right here.
Touch something you can't touch. I got something you can't touch. Something you can't touch. Touch, 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 touch.
Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me and I'll mess you up.
Sorry, my computer's like, yo dog, can't record and do it at the same time. So this is going to be something that I do all the time, which is add a duplicate vocal, but it's pitched down.
Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me and I'll mess you up.
That's just because in this section, as you can see, all the music dips out. So I just wanted to thicken it up. It's very low in the mix.
Reese's Pieces, 7-Up. Mess with me and I'll mess you up.
Also, notate, this sound right here is super low. Super low. You barely even notice it, but it's there and it helps. What is this? More of the same thing. It's like accenting on things. This is during the drop. Let's check this part out.
7-Up.
Straightforward. You guys have heard that. I don't need to play things you've already heard. This is going to be the same thing. More of the same stuff.
You can't touch. You can't touch.
Okay.
Can't touch.
You can see.
You can't touch.
You can see right here we're playing with the auto tune here. And it's just distortion. It's just the small accents of distortion throughout. That's it. What is this doing? Track 12. What's track 12? Okay, so when you were here, you heard this kind of chorusy thing.
Reese's Pieces, 7-Up.
That has to do with this. And we can't hear it because it's getting routed. It's just a chord. So this chord's only focus is to route into here, into the vocoder. And again, we have our waves tune here. Pretty straightforward stuff. I think the thing and the goal that you need to achieve when you're doing your vocals is a tone. Once you get your tone locked down, like I feel like I locked down the tone for this song. In the future, I'm going to do more singing based vocal focused mixing things. But the idea is just get a tone, do cool chops like I did here where you're just taking little things. Like this helps the beginning. This ties everything together right here.
I got something. I got something.
This is so that when the vocal comes in right here, it's just not random.
You can't touch brick wall.
We need to lead up to that.
I got something. I got something.
You can't touch brick wall. Waterfall. Boy, you think you.
We're doing fun stuff and we're using the same instrument over and over again to help tell our story. And we're doing it with different tones and EQs to make it sound interesting. Before we go, what is this? Okay. This is a breath. I don't even think this is her. Yeah. This is just supposed to add excitement to this section right here.
Boy, you think you got it all.
So small. Small things like that.
Boy, you think you got it all.
Okay? That just adds to the story. You know, like somebody's telling them, boy, you think you got it all. And then somebody else is like, like they gasp because they're like, I can't believe she said that. Right? So, fun things like that are important. And these little elements here, you need to EQ them differently. Look at this EQ. It's very tight. It's very small.
I got something you can't touch.
We want to distort it. It's okay to tweak these things out so it sounds really cool. If you do a call and response thing, another way to make it sound cool. We're doing the same thing with this melody thing because she kind of gets robotic right here, right?
Boy, you think you got it all. Bang, bang, choo-choo train. Wind me up, I do my thing. No Reese's piece.
Not the same as the first part. One part, call and response, the next part, back and forth, right? It got too much right here. It was too much, but you get the point. So go into your track, do fun things, duplicate your vocal, tweak it out, see what you get, delay it out, put it in different places, make it sparkle, make it fun. And then I think in the end, you're going to like the result. All right, let's jump into the last part here, which is going to be the mastering section.